I remember that Christmas Eve vividly. Snow blanketed the streets, and the air was heavy with the scent of pine and burning wood. I was working late at the bookstore that night, the only shop on Main Street still open. Business had been slow, so I decided to close up early. As I locked the door and stepped onto the quiet street, I noticed something strange. Across the road, in the old toy shop that had been abandoned for years, the lights were flickering. Curious, and perhaps a bit foolish, I decided to investigate. After all, who would be in there on Christmas Eve? The front door was ajar, creaking softly in the wind. I stepped inside, and the musty smell of rotting wood and dust hit me immediately. The shelves were still lined with old toys, wooden trains, stuffed bears, and porcelain dolls, all coated in a thick layer of grime. But what stood out was a Santa Claus figure in the center of the shop. It was massive, at least 7 feet tall, dressed in the usual red and white suit, but its face. It wasn't jolly. The eyes were sunken and black, and the grin stretched unnaturally wide, showing rows of jagged, yellow teeth. As I stared, I swore I saw the chest rise and fall, like it was breathing. Ho, 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 a deep voice echoed, making my blood run cold. I spun around, but no one was there. When I turned back, the Santa figure was gone. A chill ran down my spine as I heard the faint sound of sleigh bells, followed by the crunch of snow outside. Peeking through the broken window, I saw something move, a dark silhouette dragging a sack across the snow. The sack wriggled. It was moving, heart pounding. I followed the figure at a distance, through the snow-covered streets and into the woods at the edge of town. The deeper I went, the darker it became, until the only light came from a dim lantern the figure carried. The sack let out muffled cries. I hid behind a tree, trying to make sense of what I was witnessing. The figure stopped in a small clearing and turned. It wasn't Santa. At least, not the Santa I knew from childhood stories. Its face was pale, almost skeletal, with hollow eyes that glowed faintly red. It reached into the sack and pulled out a child. The kid was struggling, tears streaming down their face. Before I could react, the creature's head snapped in my direction. "You shouldn't be here," it rasped. Its voice was like the crackling of ice. I ran. Branches clawed at my face as I stumbled through the forest, but the sound of sleigh bells followed me, growing louder with every step. When I finally reached the edge of the woods, I collapsed, gasping for air. Looking back, the forest was silent. No bells, no figure, just an eerie stillness. But in the snow beneath me, I found something that chilled me to my core, a small, red hat, dusted with ash. I never spoke of that night to anyone. But every Christmas Eve, I hear those sleigh bells in the distance, a reminder of the thing wearing Santa's suit, stalking the night. And I know it's still out there, looking for its next victim.